Radio Live.
It's an Easter Sunday morning special with Mark Sainsbury.
And of course, on Easter Sunday, another of our regulars, Dr. Harold Hillman, the author of The Imposter Syndrome. I hope that wasn't an autobiography, Harold.
It was not, Mark. It's, well, you know, slightly, but I've lived behind the mask a time or two.
That's right. Harold is an expert on leadership and how companies work. Now, last week, he was exploding the myth of the open plan office and how that really hasn't sort of delivered what it should be. And this morning, he's got another one lined up, which is this whole thing, employee engagement.
That's right. Employee engagement, Mark, it has been a significant area of focus for companies over the last 2 decades or so, where it's real clear, the research certainly shows us that employees who have their heads and their hearts more sort of tied into the work that they do are more likely to be focused on higher quality outputs. They are likely to be better ambassadors for the company or the organization. And the bottom line is that the results really do track. Strong performance really does track with the degree to which employees perceive that their work is bigger than a paycheck.
Yeah, but Harold, what happens if you're working somewhere and your boss is not engaged? You know, your boss, quite frankly, is an idiot.
Yeah.
Or, okay, not even an idiot, but just doesn't care. If there's no engagement from the boss, how does that affect the people down the chain?
Oh, it has it really amplifies big time, Mark. In fact, we know from the research on engagement, there's an adage. It says people don't leave companies, they leave bad bosses. And this is one of the reasons why, again, over the last 2 decades or so, companies and organizations are just getting smarter about having to have their leaders across the importance of themselves being engaged. Because if you have a boss that is not into it, and in some cases who actually may be working against performance, it makes it hard for a team, and ultimately the team tends to follow the way the boss leans. And in that regard, there it is important. If you've got a disengaged manager, you've got some trouble on your hands.
Is it possible to be engaged without loyalty? Because you look around these days and you see people who'd been with companies for decades and then they let go. It's a constant story. And so people in all sorts of organisations will be thinking, well, how engaged should I get? Because I just don't know whether it's going to pay off for me.
Yeah, it is it tends to track with the generations. And so, I'm 58 years old, Mark, and people who came up in that era that I did, and certainly people that are older than me, are used to longer tenures with companies and organizations. Some people retired from the same organization. In today's generation, certainly the younger generation, there's no longer that expectation that you're going to be with a company for the majority of your life. And so what that means is that we have to redefine engagement, and we have to redefine loyalty differently. It isn't necessarily about the length of tenure anymore.
So what is it about?
It's really more about whether or not I can see that while I'm with the organization, my work is making a direct contribution to the top and bottom line success of the organization. In other words, if I as a company or as a manager want my team to feel that the hard work that they do is bigger than a paycheck, I really do need to help them see the end game, in that sense that they really are contributing to something that's important, that's big. People are likely, engaged employees are likely to stay with organizations if they feel they're growing. And so that's really the sweet spot, I believe, for companies to really give employees a sense that not only do we expect hard work from you, but we're going to grow your capability. We're going to make you stronger and more capable as a result of working with us. And those are the types of things that really matter and keep employees with organizations longer.
But if people are more mobile now, Harold, and so they've been with one outfit they liked it, but they decide to move off somewhere else,
yeah.
How easy is it for them to disengage one end and engage over at the new place?
Yeah, pretty quickly. I think once people have decided that the game is over in one roll, they typically put their heads around and hearts around a new place, a new role, those types of things. We tend to try to make it work out for ourselves. When we decide that we're disengaged and we're going to leave a company, we usually look for data to help support our decision. And it works conversely as well, and that is when we join a new organization because we believe we have something to give, we also select data to reinforce that. So it's not hard. People can typically get their heads out of one and into the other fairly quickly.
Dr. Harold Hillman. Now, if you want to check out Harold, of course, you can go to his website www.sigmoidcurve, that's SIGMOID curve.com. Why such a complicated website name, Harold?
Well, it because change is complex, Mark, and life is complex, and so the Sigmoid curve is the ride of life.
There's no way of catching you out, is there?
What did you say?
I said there's no way we can catch you out. Dr. Harold Hillman, thanks for joining us here on Radio Live this Easter Sunday.
Hey, thank you very much, Mark.